Now that we've completed both charts in Google Sheets, let's take our data. I'm going to copy it from Google and come into Excel and paste it inside of Excel. The exact same data as before, and now I'll walk you through how to create those very same graphs. Excel is a little different. So we have our data and it's highlighted. We're going to come up here to Insert, click on Insert, and we go over to about the middle of the screen. You'll see recommended charts, and then you'll see a bunch of different types of charts here. This first one is a column or a bar chart, and since we want to create a bar chart, let's go ahead and do that. Notice if you hover over the different options, they give you samples. We're going to stick pretty basic to this very first 2D column chart. Excel labels things differently than Google does. So it's taking the y-axis data, frequency, though it's taking the y-axis title of frequency and putting it up top. So in order to change that, before Google gave us labels, X and Y labels. You can see here, frequency versus type of car. We had X and Y labels. So we want to do the same thing. We want to do the same thing in Excel. Well, Excel's kind of funny. Notice you've got this chart tools up here and design. I want to add a chart element. I want to add labels to my X and Y axes. There are two ways to do it on a PC. I think up here in the left corner is the only way to do it on a Mac, as far as I know. So to show everyone the same thing, we can add chart element. I want axis titles. So if I click on primary horizontal, notice it gives me a text box, and I can double click and edit. We can label it, and then I can do it again, axis titles, primary vertical, and we can label that one. And so now we have a chart pretty similar to the one that we have in Google. I mentioned before when we were drawing this chart that you can change the widths between the bars. In Excel, if I go on a bar and I single click, notice that all of the bars are highlighted. And then I can right click and pull up this menu for a format data series. And it gives me this menu on the right side. Under the bars up here, so this determines color and outline. This adds some more artistic elements to it. Over here, the far right one that looks like the bars, this changes other parts of the graph, most notably the actual plotting characteristics of the graph. This gap width, though, does. If we go down to 0, we can make all the bars touch. Again, I don't like that because I don't think they should. They're very distinct, different objects. So we can give them a little bit of space. And notice they all change uniformly. And that is important to our eye to make sure that we have the same width and we're really looking at the differences in height to determine highest, lowest, biggest, smallest in the data. And so now there's our bar chart. For a pie chart, again, we're going to select that data, come up here to Insert, and you can see the little pie chart here. They have several different types. Let's stick with this single regular 2D pie. And I know I don't have a lot of space on my screen because I've enlarged my Excel quite a bit. We can put them in here. We don't really need the data. We've seen the data before. And so there's my pie chart. You will never be asked in my class in statistics to draw a pie chart by hand. They require a compass and protractors and measurements of angles, and we're not doing that. Not when technology can make one so lovely for us. So here we go. Let's clean this up. We need to change the title. And yes, your graphs should have a title. Inside the pie chart, notice there are no numbers, there are no labels. Let's add data labels. And then when we click on them, go to Format Data Labels. That brings up a new menu. We don't want the series name, but the category name would be useful. The category name actually tells us which slice belongs to which group. So category name could be useful. I'm going to click back over here to label options. We could also include the percentage. And similarly to the Google, you can notice the The percentages here match that relative frequency calculation that we did in the previous chart. So we can create similar graphs in Excel as we did in Google. We can resize them, click the corner, make them smaller, make them bigger, change the way they look. One thing that we should do, so I can show you with this same data set that I'm going to copy over into a new sheet. So I'm just selecting it and I'm doing Control-C for copy. You can also come over here with the edit, copy paste. There's my data. The other thing that we can do is we can order the data. There's another kind of chart that if we were to have a lot of data, a lot of different categories of data in our type of car example, we could have a bunch of different bars, and the ordering of the bars from one person to another, the whole class could have completely different bars, completely different shapes of a graph. With a categorical distribution, that's what we call this, categories, instead of leaving them in whatever order we want, let's come over here and order them most to least. So I'm going to select my data. I want both the category and the number. When I sort this data, I want the category to go with its respective number. I select the data I want to sort. I'm going to come over here to the data menu and go all the way down, skip all these first ones, go all the way down to sort range. Column A is our type of car. I want to sort by frequency. So I want to select column B. Since I did not select that first row, I do not have to click the data has header row option. Column B, if I go from A to Z, this is going to sort from least to greatest, just so you can see. Notice 5, 5, 6, 10, 12, 12. And the category is reordered with their numbers. So we knew other was also 5. Chevy and Toyota both had 12. So when the numbers moved, they took their category labels with them. That's important, because if we didn't do that, we would change the data. Let's go back up here, sort range. Now we're going to go from Z to A, descending. And so notice it gives you a little hint, descending. And we're going to click sort. Oh, that did not work. Oh, I know why it didn't work. I had the wrong column. Descending, column B, click sort, and now we have the highest to the lowest. When we create this bar chart, remember it defaults to a pie chart. Google defaults to what it thinks you should have. We're going to select the bar chart or the column chart again. This has a special name. When we reorder the categorical frequencies, this is what we call a Pareto chart. A Pareto chart gives us the ability to very quickly see highest to lowest in an arrangement. It can be used to compare lots of different types of data. Pareto charts are only for categorical data. Only categorical data do we use Pareto charts for. We're ordering this from highest to lowest. And there we have a Pareto chart. Again, Pareto charts are only used for categorical data. We order the categorical data from greatest frequency to least frequency, and that way it is really easy to tell highest to lowest and be able to compare the categories. In some instances, this other category might not be sorted with the rest of the data. It would just be at the end. And that wraps up our lesson on drawing bar charts by hand, looking at bars and pie charts in Google and in Excel.